There's a moment that doesn't get talked about much. It happens in perfectly normal homes. On perfectly normal nights. The lights are off. The house is quiet. You should be sleeping. But you're awake. Not because you're excited, not because you're inspired, because your mind is pacing. It's walking back and forth like someone who can't sit down. Maybe you're staring at the ceiling. Maybe you're scrolling your phone in the dark, telling yourself it's just for a minute. Maybe you got up and wandered into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and stood there. Not hungry, just looking. And right in the middle of that moment, you might feel it, that ache. Not dramatic, not loud, just a heaviness that says, something isn't settled in me. And what makes it harder is this. From the outside, your life might look fine. You've worked, you've raised kids, or you've cared for people, or you've held a family together. You've paid bills, you've survived things that used to scare you. So why is your chest still tight at night? Why do you feel tired in a way sleep doesn't fix? Why can a simple email, or a tone of voice, or a number on a scale, or a comment from your adult child hit you like a punch? Here's what I want to offer you tonight. Not a lecture, not a spiritual performance, not a list of things to do to become a better person. Just a different way of seeing what's happening inside you. Because what if the problem isn't that life hurts? What if the problem is what we do after life hurts? If any of that feels familiar, stay with me, just for this hour. In many monasteries, there's a small ritual that looks strange if you've never seen it. Before anyone plants lotus seeds, they gather mud. Thick mud, dark mud, mud that smells like rot and decay, and they handle it carefully, almost respectfully. Not because they love mud, because they understand something simple. Without mud, there is no lotus. A lotus doesn't grow in clean water. It grows in what we would rather avoid. It grows in the messy, the unpleasant, the inconvenient. And that image matters because most of us have been taught the opposite. We've been taught that the goal of life is to stay clean inside. No sadness, no fear, no anger, no grief. And if those things appear, something must be wrong with you. So you try to scrub them away. You distract, you push through, you keep smiling, you keep functioning. But inside, the mud doesn't disappear. It just gets buried. And buried pain has a way of showing up later. In your body, in your sleep, in your relationships, in the way your mind speaks to you when nobody else is around. So tonight, I'm not going to promise you a life without mud. I'm not going to tell you to think positive. I'm going to suggest something quieter. What if mud isn't proof you're broken? What if it's simply the raw material life gives every human being? And what if the question isn't, how do I get rid of pain? What if the question is, how do I stop adding a second layer of pain on top of the first? That's where we begin. There's an old teaching, often described as the Buddhist teaching on two arrows. Imagine you're walking and you get hit by an arrow. That first arrow is life. It's the part you didn't plan. It's the sudden doctor appointment, the unexpected bill, the friend who stops calling, the adult child who sounds distant on the phone, the spouse who seems somewhere else, even while sitting right next to you, the job that starts feeling shaky, the body that feels different than it used to. That first arrow hurts. And then, most of us do something almost instantly. We pick up a second arrow, and we stab ourselves again. The second arrow is not life. It's the story. It's the meaning your mind attaches to what happened. Let's make this painfully modern. The first arrow, you send a text and don't get a response for hours. That can sting. The second arrow, they're mad at me. I said something wrong. People always pull away. This is how it starts. The first arrow, you walk into a room and someone doesn't say hello. The second arrow, they don't like me. I'm invisible. I don't belong. The first arrow, you make a small mistake at work. The second arrow, I'm slipping. I'm too old for this. They're going to replace me. I should have done more with my life. The first arrow, You feel a physical sensation, tightness, pain, a flutter of something. The second arrow, this is it. Something is seriously wrong. I'm not safe. The first arrow, someone you love says something thoughtless. The second arrow, they don't care about me. I've wasted years. I'm alone in this. Do you see the difference? The first arrow is painful, yes, but the second arrow is often what turns a moment of pain into a season of suffering. And here's the tender part. This teaching isn't meant to shame you. It's meant to give you back something you may have lost. A choice. You can't always stop the first arrow, but you can begin to notice the second. And when you notice it, you can set it down. Not by forcing your mind to be quiet, not by winning against your emotions, but by seeing what's happening with clarity and a little kindness. If you want, just quietly check. What's a first arrow you've been hit with lately? And what second arrow have you been holding? No judgment, just noticing. One micro practice, one breath to put down the second arrow. Let's make this real. Right now, if it's safe, let your eyes soften. You don't have to close them, just soften your gaze and notice one inhale, not a special inhale, not a perfect inhale, just the next one that shows up. Now notice the exhale. That's it. And if you want a simple phrase, something that doesn't feel cheesy, try this. On the inhale, this is the first arrow. On the exhale, I don't need the second. Again, inhale, first arrow. Exhale, no second. This isn't magic. It's just a tiny interruption in the habit of self-attack, a tiny return. And sometimes, tiny returns change everything. Why we run now, it makes sense if you can't always set the second arrow down, because modern life is built to keep you from noticing you're holding it. We live in a culture that treats discomfort like an emergency. Feeling sad? Buy something. Feeling lonely? Scroll. Feeling anxious? Fill your schedule. Feeling uncertain? Refresh the news again and again, like certainty might appear on the screen. And the truth is, these things work briefly. They numb you. They give you a small hit of relief. But numbness is expensive, because whatever you numb doesn't leave. It waits, and often it waits in your body, in your shoulders that never drop, in your jaw that clenches while you sleep, in your breath that stays shallow, like it doesn't want to fully arrive in your own life. Sometimes it shows up as restlessness. You sit down and you can't sit. You turn the TV on, not because you care, but because silence feels too honest. You check your phone, not because you need information, but because being alone with yourself feels sharp. And again, this isn't a moral failure. It's a survival strategy. Most people never learned how to be with pain without making it worse, so they run. But here's an image I want to offer you. Imagine a baby crying in the next room. Not a polite cry, a real cry. The baby isn't trying to ruin your night. The baby isn't trying to manipulate you. The baby is doing the only thing it knows how to do, calling out. And if someone ignores that baby, the crying gets louder. Not because the baby is bad, because the baby needs to be seen. Your suffering is like that. It doesn't want a lecture. It doesn't need you to fix your life at 3 in the morning. It needs you to stop abandoning yourself. Just a little, just enough to say, I see you. If that sentence feels too emotional, soften it. Try, this is here, or something in me is hurting, and just let that be true for a moment. Guided practice, coming home to the body. Let's do a longer practice now. Nothing intense, just coming home, because the mind can time travel. It can go to yesterday, it can go to tomorrow. It can go to regrets and rehearsals and worst-case scenarios, but your body can only be in one place, here, now. So if you ever feel lost, the body is a doorway back. If it's comfortable, place one hand on your chest or your belly. Not as a performance, just as a signal that you're here. Now feel the contact, hand and body, warmth, pressure, presence. Notice where tension lives today. maybe shoulders, maybe throat, maybe around the eyes. You don't have to fix it. Just notice it the way you would notice weather. Oh, tightness. Now return to the breath and see if you can feel 3 simple things. The inhale, arriving. The exhale, releasing. And the little pause in between. If you want words, keep them gentle. Inhale, I'm here. Exhale, it's okay to be here. Again. Inhale, I'm here. Exhale, it's okay. And if a thought comes, because thoughts always come, you don't have to wrestle with it. You can simply say, thinking, and return to the breath. This is not about emptying the mind. It's about not letting the mind drag you away every time it pulls. It's about relationship, a kinder relationship with what happens inside you. Now for a moment, listen for the most honest feeling in you right now. Not the dramatic one, the honest one. Maybe it's tired. Maybe it's worried. Maybe it's lonely. Maybe it's grieving. Maybe it's numb. Whatever it is, see if you can name it softly. Not like a label that traps you, like a knock on a door. Hello, tiredness. Hello, worry. And then very simply, breathe with it. Not to make it disappear, to let it have a chair, to let it exist without a fight. Stay for a few breaths. When you're ready, you can let your hand rest again and notice, maybe just slightly, what changed. Not did it fix my life, just did I abandon myself less than I usually do? That's enough. That's practice. The 3 steps: recognize, embrace, understand. There's a simple structure that shows up again and again in mindfulness traditions. 3 steps: recognize, embrace, understand. Recognize is the moment you stop pretending. It's the moment you say, anxiety is here. Not as a problem, as a fact, like saying rain is here. Embrace is the moment you stop being violent with yourself, because most of us are not gentle inside. We might look calm on the outside, but inside it can be brutal. You shouldn't feel this. Get it together. What's wrong with you? You're too old to be this sensitive. You've been through worse. That voice is not strength. It's the second arrow wearing a suit. So embrace means something different. It means you hold your pain the way you would hold someone you love. Not because pain is pleasant, because pain is real. And reality responds to kindness better than it responds to war. Then understanding comes. And here's something important. Understanding is not the first step. Many people try to jump to understanding right away. They analyze, they overthink, they explain, but they never actually stay. They never actually feel. So the order matters. Recognize, embrace, and then, when you're not fighting, you begin to see more clearly. What is this anxiety protecting? What does it believe it has to control? What old fear is getting touched? Understanding isn't always a dramatic insight. Sometimes the understanding is simply, oh, I'm human. And, oh, I've been scared for a long time. And, oh, I've been trying to do this alone. That kind of understanding can soften a life. Let me tell you a story, quietly. There was a woman who lived with depression for years. Not the kind that shows up as tears, more like fog, like waking up and everything is gray, like moving through the day with a heavy coat on, even in summer. For a long time, she treated it like an enemy. When it arrived, she attacked herself. She read everything. She tried everything. She forced herself to stay positive. And every time it returned, she felt like she was failing all over again. Because the depression wasn't just pain, it was a verdict. A verdict that said, something is wrong with me. Then someone offered her a strange suggestion. Not advice, not a fix, a different relationship. The next time it came, she sat down. She didn't make a plan. She didn't negotiate. She simply put her hand on her chest and said out loud, "Hello, I know you're here." It felt ridiculous at first, like talking to an empty room. But she kept going, not because she liked it, because she stopped pretending. and something surprising happened. The depression didn't vanish, but it changed shape. It went from being a monster that defined her life to being a visitor. A painful visitor, yes, but not her identity, not her destiny. Over time, she noticed patterns. The depression grew stronger when she isolated, when she canceled plans, when she let shame speak in her voice, and she began to see something even deeper. The harshness she used on herself was often worse than the depression itself. It was the second arrow. So she practiced something small, not forcing happiness, just refusing to abandon herself. I'm hurting, and I can stay. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you trustworthy to yourself. And if you've ever struggled with anything like that, depression, anxiety, grief, even just a quiet emptiness, maybe the most healing sentence isn't, "I'm fine." Maybe it's, "I'm here." There's an old story. A farmer runs into the forest in panic, looking for his cows. He's frantic, because in his mind, losing those cows means losing everything. The Buddha listens calmly and says, "We haven't seen any cows." After the farmer runs off again, the Buddha turns to his students and says something almost playful. "You're very lucky. You have no cows to lose." Most of us don't have actual cows, but we have cows. We have attachments, things we cling to as if they are our safety. Sometimes the cow is obvious: money, status, a job title, a certain image of success. But for many people, especially later in life, the cows get subtler. The cow might be, "I must stay in control. I must not need help. I must always be useful. I must not disappoint anyone. I must keep the peace. I must be the strong one." And you can carry those cows for decades. You can build your whole personality around them. You can look reliable, competent, admirable, and still feel quietly trapped. Because every cow you cling to needs protection. It needs vigilance. It needs you to be on guard. So the question isn't, "Can I drop everything?" The question is gentler. What are you holding so tightly that it's costing you your sleep? What are you protecting so fiercely that it's shrinking your heart? And what would it feel like, just as an experiment, to loosen your grip a little? Not forever, just enough to breathe. There's another story. A man who once held power, real power, gave it up and became a monk. He used to live behind guards and walls. And even with all that protection, he never felt safe. He was always waiting for something. Someone coming for him. Someone taking what he had. Someone exposing him. Then one night after he had given everything up, he sat under a tree alone. No guards, no locks, no status. And suddenly he cried out, not once but twice, "Oh, my happiness." The other monks thought he was regretting his old life, but he wasn't. He said something like this: "When I had everything, I was never safe. Now I have almost nothing, and I can finally breathe. Nobody wants what he has. Nobody wants to fight him for power he no longer holds. And for the first time, he feels unguarded and truly at peace." Now, this story isn't asking anyone to give away their home and sleep in a forest. It's asking a quieter question. Sometimes the things we think are protecting us are the very things keeping us in fear. Sometimes real security doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. And sometimes needing less doesn't mean money. It means less self-attack, less perfection, less pretending, less second arrow. There are times when suffering isn't just personal, it's collective. In the United States, September 11th, 2001 was one of those times. People felt shock in their bodies, even far away. The air itself felt different. And what's important in moments like that is not analysis, it's awareness. Because collective fear is powerful, it can sweep people into reactions they wouldn't choose alone. So mindfulness, in moments like that, isn't a private hobby. It becomes a kind of responsibility, not a moral superiority, a responsibility to pause, to breathe, to not become another carrier of panic. That's why community matters. Not as an identity, as a refuge. Because sometimes your personal practice isn't strong enough to hold you. Sometimes you need to borrow steadiness from others. And if you don't have that, you can still create a small refuge. A corner of your life where you practice coming home. 3 breaths in your car before walking into a difficult day. A short walk where you actually feel your feet. A moment before answering the phone. Small refuge, real refuge. Let's make this practical in a way that doesn't feel like homework. Just a few invitations. When you're about to open an email that makes your stomach tighten, pause for 1 breath. Not to become calm, just to arrive. And ask, first arrow or second? When you catch yourself spiraling at night, place a hand on your chest and name what's here. Not to fix it, to stop abandoning yourself. When you're walking from one room to another, kitchen to hallway, bedroom to bathroom, take a few steps as if you're actually living in your own life. Feel the foot, feel the floor. And if you want a simple phrase, I have arrived. I am home, not as a slogan, as a tiny rebellion against rushing through your own days. And in relationships, especially the long ones, the ones where life has worn grooves into the way you talk, there's an invitation that's both simple and brave. Presence. Sometimes love isn't a big speech. Sometimes it's, I'm here, and silence, and listening. Let's come back to the lotus. A lotus doesn't grow by rejecting the mud. It grows by using it. So if you're in a muddy season right now, stress, grief, fear, uncertainty, aging, change, it doesn't mean you've missed the point of life. It may mean you're standing exactly where transformation begins. Not because pain is beautiful, but because pain can be met differently. You might not be able to prevent the first arrow, but you can learn slowly to stop firing the second, and that alone can change the shape of a life. So before we end, let's take one last breath together. Inhale, exhale. And if you want one simple sentence to carry into the rest of your night, let it be this. Right now, I'm here. Not forever, not perfectly, just now. And for tonight, that's enough. This podcast is for reflection and education, and it isn't a replacement for medical or mental health care. If you're carrying something heavy, I hope you reach for real support. Thank you for being here.